She's not coming.
What?
Sofia, your lunch date.
It's not a date.
Whatever. She called. She's not coming.
Did she say why?
Something came up. I don't know. I wasn't listening. She's gonna go to waste.
I want you to follow her. Find out who she's with.
Think she's two-tapping you?
She and I are not... This lunch was her idea. Now she cancels all of a sudden. I want to know why. That's all. Now, Victor!
Well, she sneaks around the world. Gotham City from Florida. She's a sneaky little gangster. This side of Don Maroney. She'll take Oswald for a ride on his lover to betray her. Tell me what in the world is Sofia Falcone? Still the same recipe. The Oswald cried for his mama when he takes a summer's under singing the blues. On the wall, I never guessed that she brought out the whole orphanage. Tell me where in the world is Sofia Falcone? Different from Barbara, Fish, Mooney, Leslie, and Peabody, Selena, and Ivy. This mob girl is bad. Well, she'll ransack the big win and run a scam in Gotham City. Then she'll stick 'em up and burn such the Raven and the Narrows. She wrote the miss and the mistake when she got down with her brother's killer. Tell me where in the world is Sofia Falcone?
This little piggy listened to the Gotham Chronicle podcast. This little piggy knows that it's powered by the BatmanUniverse.net. And this little piggy checked out the BatmanUniverse.net for this and many other great Batman podcasts. I'm Josh, and my Professor Pig voice is like only one octave difference from my like Hugo Strange voice. So
that's what I was thinking.
I know, Professor.
I was like, are we going back to Hugo Strange?
This is Hugo Strange, and this is Professor Pig. I'm Josh, and joining me is
Happy Halloween. I'm Donovan.
Halloween. This is Jan.
So yes, in order to this episode's called Hog Day Afternoon, and to celebrate Halloween, all the cops are wearing masks of pigs. It's such a creative idea, trick or treat. Some of them get grenades, some of them are gutted. Actually, if I was to be more accurate about what happened in the episode, because it's come to our attention by our own observations that these recaps have nothing to do with what actually happens in the episode. But, yeah.
You don't say.
Yeah. But Professor Pig be killing guys and cops, and Gordon and Bullock must find out who it is by politely asking their friends who Penguin's informants are. And by politely asking, I mean shoving them in the trunks of hot cars, which I don't know why it was hot, because it was inside of clearly a garage that wasn't in the sun. It's like the script and the actual filming weren't communicating. But either way, shoving cops in cars and stuff like that, and all the while, Bullock is coming in the work with his gold-plated teeth and his pimp canes. He's like, I'm sure loving all this extra money I'm getting. Where could Bullock be getting this extra money? And then when Bullock rides in his brand new Hummer into GCPD, Gordon starts to suspect that maybe, just maybe, Bullock is getting extra money from Penguin somehow, but he can't be certain. Meanwhile, in these other plot lines, gosh, I'm sorry, that Carmen San Diego thing threw me off. I have to actually remember the episode. It's so
I should put the lyrics on the screen.
I know. Over in the Narrows, Riddler wants Lee Tompkins to make him smart again. As Solomon Grundy bludgeons people's heads in the background, to comedic effect. And Lee's like, I'm not going to help you get smart. He's like, but why? She's like, because I hate you. What'd I do? You killed Kristen Kringle and framed my ex-fiance for murder, which caused me to miscarry my baby all alone. Oh yeah, well, I forgot my season 2 DVDs, but hey, I haven't bothered you in a few seasons. Will you help me? And she's like, no. So he discovers that just like in the comics, she's finally running her own clinic. So but he just can't figure out how to use that against her. So she, like, for some reason helps him figure out, like, a way to, like, leverage herself so she can get money for her clinic, and she can help him get smart again. Hooray for the Narrows family being formed. Meanwhile, Penguin
Don't laugh.
is not on... Oh, we'll get into that. Penguin is not on a date with Sofia, as he insists his as, not on a date, but, she doesn't show up, and Penguin's all sad, which makes him scream, where in the world is Sofia Falcone? And he's convinced that she must be building a fortress. So she spied on Batman 89 style, like Zaz like spies on her like he's like Vicky Vale from Batman 89.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, show me your fortress. And the fortress is children trained to kill, or just orphans, I don't know. Either way, he's like, will you ever forgive me? And she's like, I'm afraid I won't. Because I already did 40 seconds ago. Aww. To which Homeless Cop is like, WTF is going on here? Like, cause he's like watching them make goo eyes at each other. He's like, I thought I was your special guy. What's this? He's like, trust me. So, pigs in a blanket, people blowing up, Bullock with a sliced neck, but he'll be A-okay because he's not like, a little boy.
Did you actually mention that?
They're pig, not Ra's al Ghul.
I didn't mention that in my fake recap, no. Yeah. Yeah. But Bullock gets his neck sliced, but he's A-okay.
As opposed to Alex.
As opposed to Alex, and as opposed to every other person who... Necks are like the... I think Jan said she texted, like, necks are the hands this season, so...
Getting your hand chopped off, now you just get your neck slit. Ever since Jervis Tetch.
We're working our way up the body. Oh, yeah, he did start that trend.
That was foreshadowing.
Yes, it was. You're welcome.
Oh, wonderful
I
family.
just remember being so happy and thinking that Mad Hatter would be dead. He was like, no, he's just in Arkham. I was like, but he slit his throat.
Yeah, Gordon did it to him. Oh.
Well, I guess I couldn't kill him.
So, starting with Jan, because she was pretty sad last season.
I'm pretty sad every season, let's be honest.
Last episode was only a week ago. I'm like, last season. Jan was pretty sad last episode. Are you happier this episode?
I did like Professor Pig. He was just... I don't know, he's just like really campy, but also weird. I did like the Sofia plot, but I'm like the only one who actually likes it. I thought it was like funny. And I did like I just like Grundy, but I like Butch, so I have like the residual likes for that. That's about all I've got to say. Yeah. Which one do you want to tackle first?
Well, Don, before we go into the plotline by plotline, Don, what were your overall episode thoughts?
This is interesting because I wasn't loving the episode, but I wasn't hating it either. I honestly expected less, and I was kind of like watching it, the plot's moving at a moderate pace. I don't think anything in this episode annoyed me because a big element of it was kind of the police corruption, and I actually thought, that does make sense because it is Gotham City. I did find the Leslie and Riddler and Solomon Grundy thing kind of entertaining. I mean, I've actually Riddler's been genuinely funny this season, so I liked that. And the Sophie and Penguin thing, I mean, I love Zaz because Zaz is consistently Anthony Carrigan, I believe the actor's name is really funny, and whenever he's in the scene, he just kind of makes it more memorable. Also, it led me down a rabbit hole, but this episode was fine. It wasn't bad. It wasn't awesome, but a show is allowed to have sort of a plot moving episode every week or so. So it was okay. I have neither highs nor lows about it.
Highs or lows, you're Stella now. I liked this episode. This was an improvement for me over last week. Last week, I didn't hate it the way that you and Jan did, but it felt off to me because I thought that the first few episodes of the season were somewhat stronger, and
yeah,
that last episode left just kind of a weird taste in my mouth. And this episode,
I agree.
It was, I enjoyed 2 out of the 3 plot lines, and the one I didn't really enjoy that much was the Sofia one, which, like, you know, we'll get more into. But otherwise, I liked, you know, and we'll go into the beat by beats, but just like real briefly, you know, I thought that this was the best Donald Logue, you know, performance since season 1, and the best Gordon and Bullock, like, you know, episode since season 1 as well. Like, you know, we're seeing drama between them again. I liked
almost kissed, but alas.
And this was moving Lee in the direction that, like, I would like her to be in. And
she should have been from the beginning. Freaking beginning.
Yeah, and then just stuff like that too. So I guess where do we want to go first? To the Narrows, to the pig farm, or to the or to the orphanage?
I feel like all 3 plots had equal screen time, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a 3-sided die on this one.
In honor of the intro that Don did, let's go to the orphanage.
So that will be playing in this episode.
What would you mean that will be played? Like, as if there's a question. Like,
yeah, I'm sorry. You did like 50 different voices. we have to use that opening.
Yeah, like, I'll consider it. Like, so for those of you who are a little obtuse about why that opening was used, Sofia Falcone looks like Carmen freaking Sandiego in this episode.
She had a red hat on with the white.
I will say that Don's intro, like, is my favorite thing about this plotline, because otherwise this plotline was kind of weak for me, because I feel like the Sophia and Penguin thing, it's just been kind of like wheel spinning, where, you know, she's trying to get Penguin to trust her, and, like, that was the plot last week, and, like, the week before, like, there's really hasn't really been too much movement forward with that. It's just, if you would have deleted this, like, plot line from this episode and, like, replaced it with, like, scenes of Tabitha being, I don't know if I could work for Barbara again, Selena, but I guess I'm going to, which is, you know, pretty much brings me back to where I was the last time you saw me. If you would have done that instead, I don't think, like, next week we would have been lost with, like, you know, whatever Sophia and Penguin do. I don't feel like they ended the episode in a different place than they did last week. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized, you know what, though? Had they not done all these weeks of, like, Sophia getting close to the Penguin, it would have been weird, because after all that stuff that happened with, like, Butch betraying him and helping his mom die, and then, like, a season later...
And the Riddler...
Yeah, like, we would have been like, you know, Penguin is stupid. He shouldn't be trusting Sophia. So we almost have to have episodes after episodes of, like, Penguin trusting her, but I don't know if this was the way to do it. Zsasz, it's very weird that, like, we're at a point in Batman where, like, Mr. Zsasz is the comic relief character, which, if you know, like, Zsasz from the comics, that's not him, but...
Lord, no.
As Don and Jan say, Anthony Kerrigan is, like... I just gotta, like, look at it. This is not Zsasz from the comics, and, like, it's fun. It's funny, you know, like, him sitting down and taking the food, but, like, I shouldn't be laughing at Mr. Zsasz, but I am.
It's kind of like Thor, where, like, because my brother reads Thor comics, and he says, like, Thor on the MCU isn't really like Thor of the comics, but at the same time, he's so entertaining that, like, you know, you don't really mind.
He's a giant Labrador.
And that being said, Zsasz, it's not like Zsasz is Dick Grayson, where, like, you know, like, he's this very, very important character that we must, like, stay true to. Like, I could accept them changing Mr. Zsasz over them changing someone like Alfred or Dick Grayson or, like, you know, whatever.
Or
like
Commissioner
that.
Oh, wait.
Well, yeah. No, and as I made fun of in my fake recap, I thought that Sophia's whole thing was, like, stupid, where she's like, can you ever forgive me? I can't, because I already did. Come here, you.
Executive producer Sherwood Schwartz.
Yeah, but she did forgive him. She forgave him before they went.
Yeah.
But he wasn't listening, so he said that.
That was so weird. Like, surprise, secret orphanage. like, how did Zsasz when he was like photographing all this, missed like an entire school bus of children. Children aren't discreet, like.
That's actually a good point.
Yeah, but it depends on the time of day. It was like lunchtime. They were all probably inside the school.
Well, I also think that like Sophia is on to Penguin's paranoia, so she probably made herself suspicious just to kind of take his suspicions down a peg when she revealed it.
Oh, that's totally what I thought was going on. That this was like Sophia knew that like if she canceled lunch, Zaz was going to follow her, and like she was like trying. But like I was wondering, like, what if this plan backfires and like she just like starts her car and it blows up? Like the plan is contingent upon Penguin confronting her. But I think she knows that Penguin's ego is like too big to like kill her discreetly like that. That he'd want to like yell at her and be like or something.
Yeah.
What do we think? Did you talk about Story Jan, or have you not?
I have not. Okay, so the reason Josh actually really covered what I was going to say, because he was like, yeah, they're like doing this again. Why are they doing this again? Like over and over in every episode. And I was sitting here like, well, you can't just expect her to do like one thing in one episode and he's going to trust her. She has to continuously chip away at him because of all the betrayals that he's had in the past. She's got to continuously like reinforce that she's trustworthy. Even when she's sneaking around his back, it's supposed to be in his like best interests or whatever, or like help to make him look like a better person in the community. She can't just do that in one episode. Like, it has to continue. It's not the most glamorous storyline, but it does need to be reinforced, and that's what I was like thinking, because I remembered in the last episode you're like, and she's doing this again. It's the same plot. Yeah, it's the same plot because it's not done yet. But yeah, I thought it was like really. I just love Zaz so much. He's like, she's not coming. I'm sorry about your lunch date. He's like,
he's a dick. He's a dick.
He's wonderful. He's my favorite. My second favorite.
He's like eating the food.
Yes, he's like, it's just gonna go bad.
I like how he kind of just knows that like Penguin's not gonna do anything to him. So he's like, she's like coming, like he doesn't really mind pissing him off.
Yeah, well, he's his right hand man, and he's like the most loyal. Did he work for Falcone before?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when we first saw him, he was. Well, who was he from? Was he from Fish Mooney or Falcone? I don't remember.
He was trying to kill Gordon, so I'm trying to think who he was going. Yeah, so
I think he was with Falcone first.
Well, he's the one that like brainwashed Bush.
Well, he definitely was after him after Mario died, because like that episode where Falcone wanted revenge, he came up.
I'm just trying to remember why they were trying to kill Gordon in Penguin's umbrella. Okay, because Gordon was supposed to execute Penguin, and in Penguin's umbrella, they find out that Gordon didn't. So I'm just.
He's a gun for hire, so it's not like he has gang loyalty necessarily.
I do remember Falcone was going after Gordon and Penguin's umbrella, because like that whole episode ends at like Falcone's house.
Barbara is like hostage and stuff.
Yeah, and Mr. Zaz is eating muffins there with Liza. I do remember like that being a thing.
Yes, there we go. And then he switched over to.
But Fish's like duplicity was not revealed to Falcone at that point. Well, I mean, it was, but it wasn't like proven. Like, he was still kind of like Seymour. So I'm trying to remember if he was working directly for Fish, but at that point, Fish was like working with the Falcone family anyway. I mean, regardless, yes. Zaz
no,
was
I think he was he's working for Falcone because he went after Fish. Remember, Butch had to like get between his fly girls and him and Fish so that Fish wouldn't get shot.
That was later, though. And
I know, but still, like that's just showing that he didn't work for Fish. He worked for Falcone.
Right, and he's the one that brought Butch back and like brainwashed
against Fish. Yes.
So wouldn't he know? Wouldn't Sophia and him like maybe? I mean, she wasn't in Gotham, so like they wouldn't have to know each other. But like they share a connection that might be closer than Penguin.
Well, I don't
no,
because
she was in Miami the entire time.
Yeah.
Because
like,
my father wouldn't let me go there.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No,
it's all right.
It's in the song.
Exactly. Just refer to Dawn. No, because she's always been like, I wanted to go to Gotham, but my daddy always said no. So like now here I am. And plus, I don't think even though Zaz was working for Falcone, I don't think like they were like best buddies. So like Zaz doesn't care. He'll go where the wind blows. Whoever's paying him and whoever like will let him kill someone.
Yeah, I get the idea that like if whoever Zaz is working for, if they were killed, he would be like, okay, I'm going home. He's not a guy who like really invests himself in somebody else.
Yeah.
If Barbara Keene like killed Penguin tomorrow, and like Zaz would join her in the League of Assassins, I guess. And then if like Barbara was taking
the League of really bad fake cops.
You just reminded me that she's with the League of Assassins and she has superpowers.
I get. I don't know if she has. I don't know what that was. Like,
she's got a super baby named Rachel Ghoul in her butt.
Whatever. You haven't heard last episode yet, Tom. We're like, because like Ben says, was that from the comics? What like he did to Barbara? And I said no.
Shake that child and scream no in his face.
I said like that never happened in the history of anything ever. He says, well, I'm really confused, and I said, oh no, you're not the only one. Like.
Everyone is confused. I don't know why you think you would.
There was like just a collective WTF like during that scene, like during
that episode.
No. All I did was think of Barbarella. I was like, man, he had the pills.
Barbarella.
Now, okay, so as Jan said, we had to do this with Sofia because otherwise, when Penguin eventually like trusts her or whatever, it would but would there be a better way to do this so that it didn't feel so repetitive, I guess? Because just because you have to do something doesn't mean that there's only one way to do it.
Well, honestly, I don't necessarily mind it as much as you guys do. It is very like one note where like Penguin,
I don't mind it.
Penguin is like and she's like all soft and calming. I have to say, because I've not actually seen this.
Ozzy.
Like I do really like Robin Lord Taylor's performance, and I make fun of it every episode. And there are times where it's kind of hard on the senses because it is such a kind of a jilted kind of thing. But here he was, I don't know, like he kind of showed a bit more like maturity or whatever. Like, or is that like is this a lunch date, or is it just should I bring a shovel in the trunk? Bring the shovel. Like he didn't like
yes, the shovel.
He didn't like throw something out the window and say bring a shovel. Like I thought that like he brought a little more dimension to the performance, and I think that like. I'm enjoying seeing him kind of, hook, line, and sinker with Sofia, even if it is, a very, transparent subplot. Because I think every season somebody is, playing a mob boss. Because the first one, it was, Fish Mooney and Falcone and Penguin and Maroni. And the second season, it was, the whole Azrael, Silver St. Cloud thing. And then last season, it was
my gosh, they do this every because it was
why did you bring up Silver?
Liza, I want you to pimp yourself out for that weak old man Falcone. And then season 2, it's like niece Silver, I want you to pimp yourself out for that Bruce Wayne. And then after he finds out he betrayed you, I want you to just for fun seduce him again. And then season 3,
Court of Owls and on Gordon's side, and there's also I know there was
I want you to pimp yourself out for your nephew.
Also Riddler and Penguin and Barbara and Tabitha and Butch near the end of the season. There's a lot of betrayal going on.
Yeah, that was a circle. That was a weird circle of betrayal. I was at some point, I think at the end of season 2 and the end of season 3, I was I have no idea what's happening.
Betrayal Rama.
I know, it's all well, you can't trust this person or that person. I was how are any of these people even working together anymore?
Money.
It's a very it is a the show goes too often, but I don't find myself so upset because Lord knows I've been upset at the show, but that was I guess I'm so used to it that it's kind of numbing to me personally.
I feel like a good writer, and this show does have good writers. Before you guys make fun of me, look at the Jerome episode. They don't
work a lot of days.
Yeah, but I feel like a good writer could figure out a way to do the Sofia thing without making it feel like wheel spinning. Because I felt like that this was wheel spinning, but I guess on further reflection, I didn't hate it, but I was just annoyed by it because it was an episode where it had a starting point and an ending point, and I feel like it was the same starting point and ending point from last week, where I don't know what other way we could have done it though, because I'm not the writer. Like, I'm not a montage or something like that.
Also, I think that Crystal.
No, I mean,
Reed,
go ahead.
I'll just say real quick. I think that Crystal Reed plays it to where like she's not like Jada Pinkett Smith, where she's like like when we see one side of her face and that to herself, like she is like even with Gordon, you're not 100% sure what her mind is, and that is kind of intriguing. I think that's it. So what were we going to say? Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I don't really feel like there needs to be like another way to do this. I mean, they just need it's laying groundwork,
Sure.
and because of the way that the plan is being enacted, it has to be this way. Otherwise, it's just gonna be like some stupid, like, well, it wasn't stupid, but like the way Butch tried to do it with his Red Hood gang. Remember how that blew up in his face?
Yeah.
Because
Sorry,
boys. It wasn't as what's the word? It wasn't as like patient as the way she's doing
Developed.
it. She's trying to continuously pull him in, and she knows that she just can't do that. Like, rather like, look at this gift I gave you. Yeah, but what do you want back? Sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's playing the long game.
Yeah. So if it was all like, here, look, I gave you the heads of these guys. Now we can be friends. I would be super suspicious versus, which is more exciting to watch, sure. But I'd be more suspicious than like constant, like, I really want to be your friend. Because this is like more obnoxiously slow, and it takes a lot more effort. And a person shouldn't have to like do that. Like, you know what I mean?
I think, because we talked about this before, actually Josh and I talked about this recently on our comic film review episode about Kingsman, that...
Which I haven't watched yet.
Well, it's a very entertaining film. I think, like, this is a conversation we've had often recently, that when you get into situations where it's like, well, they had to be this, it had to be written this way, what else would they have done? On the one hand, that's true, but that does always beg, the talent of a creative, a really thoughtful writer, kind of to make. Now, I don't necessarily notice a lot of the repetition until we do it for a podcast. But if Josh is kind of saying, this is kind of slow, and we've seen kind of stuff before, I think that is a sort of a dike in the whatever of the writer's kind of strengths, because it is a well that they've run before, and I think that one questions why they have to do it at all if it is so repetitive. I mean, that's more of an observation of mine. I'm not minding it, but if it is so commonplace on this show, and also if it's taking this long for her to kind of put her plans into motion, this better pay off in a big way. Like if he's set back in one episode and then like 2 episodes later she's taken down, that will be kind of like they'll render this whole thing cheap. And then
like Rachel Gould.
Oh, man.
He'll be back.
I know, they set him up for like 3 episodes straight, and then boom. And I was just sitting here like, but why? Why would you do this?
Because they know and want to hurt us.
I did like the part where the Penguin and her are at like Falcone Manor making Google eyes at each other, and like homeless cop walks in like ready for love, and he's like hiding behind like the like doorway, and it's like, I'll see you for lunch tomorrow, Ozzy. And then like after Oswald leaves, he's like, okay, what the heck was that?
It takes him out of the mood. Well, I'm done for the evening.
He's like, are you and he? I thought that I was your special boy. Oh, I feel so used. And she's just like, just trust me, this like duplicitous, like, mob boss daughter.
And then he says, I'll take you on the first train back to Miami, young lady.
I know. I was like, excuse you? See, remember when I said in that episode where he threw the glass on the ground and threw her on the bed, like he was in control? And I was just like, see, this is that whole like man has to be in control. This woman can't have any power.
He's a caveman.
Well, before you say more, Jan, no, I agree. You wonder if he has like a very, very long car or whatever. It does. There is an element of like, I don't want to say impetism, but like, vulnerability whenever Gordon is like surprised by a woman. He's like, what? I didn't know that.
But I'm the man.
Not you.
Exactly. Me, Gordon. You, Sofia.
Basically.
No, you Grundy. Me,
And I love how it's like how it's trains. Like he's not going to put her on an airplane because that would be a more efficient way to get down to Miami. Because like the transit
There are
railway
airplanes?
Yeah, and Gotham, like it's like they have to be in the recent past, but like sometimes they take it too far, and like they're like,
have they shown
oh yeah,
in Gotham City or in the show before? I'm thinking now.
There must have been. I mean, Bruce and Alfred go to Switzerland every other week.
Well, that's
so,
off
like,
screen. They could have taken a train.
Yeah, just
They could
Switzerland.
have taken a boat, honestly.
That is true.
They probably would. Like, because in the first season they weren't trying to make this take place in like the 1930s. Like they had flip phones and stuff, but now
they still have flip phones. What kind of reality is this where they have cell phones but not planes?
But then like it just like goes further back. Where, like the TVs are like from like the 1950s now, and everyone's like watching them in like department store windows. And
this is starting to really not make any sense.
Apparently, Drew Powell said, like, in some interview somewhere that Gotham's supposed to take place in, like, a dream world where, like, it's a mix of, like, past, present, and, like, or past and present.
It does give it a very distinctive flavor. I can't say it's like anything else on TV.
Kind of like TAS, I think. Because TAS was like modern, but it had like an Art Deco feel.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
TAS. I was just kind of
because that was like completely it felt out of time. Because I always, for some reason, thought that TAS was in like the 1930s to the 1950s. But then there'd be like an airplane, or there'd be like a massive supercomputer, and I'm just like, wait a minute.
They had airplanes in the 30s.
Well, we talked about this before. Where like, I mean, if you watch some of the old episodes, it is intentionally inconsistent because they have like black and white televisions, and there's one episode where Alfred and Gordon see like a yearbook of like Thomas Wayne, and it's like he graduated from college in like 1911. Like they say 1911.
He had Bruce really late in life. Really late.
And then, like Leslie Tompkins is like mentioning Benny Goodman and stuff. It's like, yeah, it definitely takes place in like, during the Depression.
His dad is totally racial.
Oh no.
Yeah. But then like the funny thing is like then they get into the Ford Focus commercials where like, the car is like the newest technology ever. Like no wonder everyone loves their Ford Focus because, like, it's like when you're living in a world with like dial-up internet and like there's only like one airplane that no one ever gets to use, and like the TVs look like that. A Ford Focus is like they
don't use computers in the show either because like Bruce and Alfred had to like look into like their father's library for Ra's al Ghul. They didn't go to like Wikipedia or anything.
So I guess that's a good. Are we done with the Sofia plot line?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah, planes, trains. How do people get around in Gotham?
They walk. They take the bus.
Speaking of people who take trains out of Gotham, let's go to the Narrows because says they actually you'll hear this because I sent Dustin the New York Comic Con episode, and like the people at the press table were teasing Lee. Like, I thought you took a train out of Gotham, and like Marina Bakaram was joking. She's like, yeah. Lee fell asleep on the train, and like, and when she woke up, it was back in Gotham. She didn't get off at her stop, and she's like, "Oh darn!" It's like
that's funny.
Yeah, and then her and Aaron Richards were like joking about how like Barbara was like put on like a bus and like Lee was on like a train, like that like Gordon keeps on like putting all these girls on like different modes of transportation, and that maybe like. Crystal Reed will like finally get the airplane or something, but as we saw in this episode, no. But
hopefully it won't be a refrigerator.
Get put on a boat.
I really liked Lee this episode because first of all, she was looking like she was evil, Alice Tech Virus Lee at the end of last episode, but I liked to hear like she showed remorse over that stuff. She was like, because last season we were like, holy heck, Lee Tompkins from the comics like released a deadly virus throughout the city. And here we actually see her say, I released a deadly virus. Like, people got hurt. I need to, like... That's why I came back to Gotham, because, like, my actions caused this stuff to happen, and I need to repent. And she finally has her clinic. Hallelujah. Like, this is what's... I think we were even saying that before. Like, she needs to open a clinic. That's how you keep her in the show. And
yep.
her reasons for like working with Nigma and Grundy are to get money for the clinic. Like it's all like altruistic stuff. So I love that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I liked Lee this episode. Like we're seeing more of. I don't like her as much as I did in season 1 and 2 because I feel like in seasons 1 and 2 she was always like the most sensible person in the room, except for that
she was always calling him out.
Yeah, except for that episode where she was like, Jim, we have to look for like the psychics, invisible knife and like the field instead of having homeless sex. Okay, like I hated her in that one. But
you just wanted her to have homeless sex.
you remember he was like getting ready to like.
I do remember, and then she's like, "What's a fortune teller in this thing?"
She's like, "First, let's solve this mystery. All right, we'll have sex, then solve the mystery." That's not the order I said. I know what I said.
First of all, damn you both for introducing homeless sex into the universal lexicon. Homeless sex.
Well, it's like how like Batman has like the batarang, the bat rope, and everything. Like with Gordon, it's like the homeless this and the homeless that. Like
his homeless gun.
Yeah, he's having a homeless lunch, and he and Lee have homeless sex, and like
Again, I sure hope the actual like the real world homeless
dinner. It was night when they left, dude.
I sure hope the impoverished and poverty stricken people don't come anywhere near this podcast because I never know how they're going to react to that kind of thing.
Yes, because they'll.
Gordon's a hero to them. He's their homeless icon.
Oh god!
It shows that if you work hard at your homelessness, one day you will be able to like have sex with a woman that lives in a mansion.
I like how you're just doubling down on my fears.
And maybe she'll let you sleep over sometimes. Maybe, but first she's got to make sure Ozzy's not there. But yeah, I liked Lee. I don't really have much to say about Grundy. Just that like there was a Winnie the Pooh cartoon when I was little, where like there was this big Godzilla monster named Wooster who turned out to be like he just wanted to have friends, and like he talks just like Grundy does here. He's like, Wooster, want to be your friend? Wooster, share with you?
You be Wooster's friend?
I told you not to listen to him. We don't need friends. Let's just take it. Come on, Hef. Let's show him what's who.
No. We ask. May we?
Say please.
May we please have some honey?
Why, certainly.
You like?
that is still Grundy because like he said the same. He talked the same way in Justice League Unlimited and Justice League.
Yeah, and he probably talked like that before that 1990s or 80s, whatever year it came out in Winnie the Pooh cartoon. It's just the voice is the voice though, like the way that Drew Powell does it, and I'm assuming that there's some digital alteration too there because I hear kind of like a weird echo, unless like Drew Powell like
I
is
thought it was
just
just
like
his
auto
acting.
tuning.
I didn't hear an echo. I just hear him talking like the Hulk.
Yeah, like he has a brick in his cerebellum.
Yeah,
and he's just like really confused.
and bludgeons people.
He doesn't know any better.
The poor baby.
I mean, in fairness, it's not like Butch was like a cuddly teddy bear before this happened to him.
Yes, he was.
Look at all the people that he killed. Look at that, like
he would
one
still
episode.
like look. If
he took his best friend in season 1 to like
totally
appear,
him.
and he's like, "I stole spaghetti from you when I was little." Bam.
He was as innocent as baby's breath. Okay.
No, I didn't say he was innocent, but he's totally a teddy bear. Look at him.
I mean, he looks like a teddy bear, but he's got the racket of Al Bundy.
I'll just say mine real quick. I agree with you with Leslie. Like at the end of the last episode, I was like unbelievably pissed because it just seemed like they were just kind of doing another archetype. And every time Gotham does like the underground or the alternative scene, it's like look at all these tattooed and mohawk and pierced people. Aren't they bad? They love murder. It's like box. But I like Leslie. I like Riddler in this. I thought he was like genuinely funny. I thought that he and Marina McCarran had a good comedic timing. And honestly, like I was weirded out at first by Drew Powell, acting the way he does as Solomon Grundy. But like every time he walks on the screen, it's like, wow, that really is Solomon Grundy. Like they are not.
Yes.
Yeah, they are not shirking that character at all. So it's it's impressive whenever he comes on the screen. So I dug it. I dug it.
I really like the plot line a lot. I was really, just like you, very excited to see the clinic. I was like, yes! Yes! It took you 4 seasons. 4 seasons to get here. And it actually, I don't know, for me, it kind of makes me feel like, well, not really, but like the Tetch virus thing at the end was kind of worth it.
That's a good
I feel like they could have done something completely different, but I mean, the way that it pulls together and the continuation, it's a really good reaction to it, and it's really good motivation for that. What else is there? I really didn't like the Riddler. He's so stupid. Like, I'm going to do stuff to you. I'll do stuff. Stuff and things.
Blackmail, threats. Yeah, to your clinic. So there.
Yeah, I'm going to do that thing to you. Just
If
like
you
that,
really
like,
wanted to like get me to work for you, you could have done this, this, or this. Like, oh, but
This to me is the Riddler, and so I don't agree with Tom King. Is like, you know, the war of jokes and the riddles. Like the Riddler, the stakes have never been higher. Like I do find, and I love the Riddler. He's one of my favorite Batman villains. But I do find that this an inherently kind of like I don't want to say pathetic, but like inherently kind of silly nature to his personality. So like I think Corey Michael Smith is like one of the best Riddlers ever because he does get that balance between like, you know, really smart and kind of threatening and kind of goofy guy.
yeah. I do really like him. I think the last thing I have to talk about is like Grundy, and we all know that tea is precious and must be protected.
Save Grundy.
he needs a better protector. because Nigma ain't looking out for him. I like how she's like, "Is that Butch Gilzine? What did you do to him?" He's like, "I didn't do this." Like,
actually, I didn't.
Yeah, I can't take credit for this.
she's like examining him. She's like, "You have an extra arm. How the heck did that happen?" Grundy have 2 hands. Like,
I like how Riddler just kind of pops in like at least 2 or 3 times this episode with a wad full of money. He's like the biggest smile on his face.
Yep. He's like, yes, I have the money.
well, and I was wondering, like, why the heck would Lee Tompkins ever go anywhere near like Nigma after the whole Kringle and like framing Jim thing? But I feel like it was justified because you do see her like seeing that she's out of medicine and she needs the money, so that works for me.
I also think that, like, do you two think that? I don't know. I honestly don't know if they're implying it or if I'm guessing it. Do you think that like there's traces of the Tetch virus in her, or is this all like, you know, like the real Leslie Tompkins that's like reacting to this? Because I'm wondering like if she still had parts of the virus, if she would have just like flat out killed Riddler.
I feel
just
like
think that she's tainted.
Yeah. Okay. So Marina Baccarin said at New York Comic Con that the virus changed Lee, and that like, but I think that that's different than saying that there's still traces of virus with her. But I think that even though the virus is gone, the events of having the virus and what she did fundamentally like changed her in a way.
I see what you're saying. It's like Bruce and his parents' death. He's never the same.
Yeah, like she's never the same after that. So it's I mean, I do think that like, and I think that there's a big part of her that like, and this is said in the show. This isn't just some like random observation by me. Like, this is within the show. She wants penance. You know, like she feels guilty. There is a lot of people online that are like really, really annoyed at her for like coming back because like apparently like there's a lot of episodes where Lee's like, I'm leaving Gotham forever, and then like she never does, and like she always comes like, on Reddit and like Facebook, people are like, oh, you're gonna leave and never come back again. And then like Gotham's official Facebook like posted a photo and it says like, guess who's back, and it's like a picture of Marina Baccarin and there's like an Asian guy behind her like as like an extra, and people online are commenting, hooray, the return of the Asian guy.
Like, I did not know that Lee had an online, I don't say backlash, but like, because I have found myself to be ticked off with basically how they portray the character, So I actually feel good that people are like, maybe she'll be out of the show for a long time, because I didn't think she was coming back till at least halfway through the season, and I was wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, and for so much of last season, I was thinking, like, did she even do a job last season? I'm like, no, she was working at the GCBD, because I was just kind of remembering her as like a love interest last season, like,
That's because that's how they want you to remember women on this show. They don't actually have power. They're just there to be love interests for the other characters, or a nuisance.
In fairness, I would say that they've given women like a lot of powerful positions on this show. Like Tabitha, Barbara. I didn't say written well, but like Tabitha.
I don't know
Barbara.
about Tabitha.
Yeah, what has Tabitha exactly done?
Tabitha's always been a number 2.
But she's been a powerful number 2. She's not like.
Well, she was on the
not
Ford
like-
Focus commercial, but that was really it.
It's like saying, like, oh, they gave Zaz a powerful position. He's still a
Well,
henchman.
they do. Zaz
He's
is respected.
still a henchman.
He's feared.
I agree with Jen. I think that, like, you can make a case for like Barbara Keene or whatever, but like, I don't know if the women characters are established as. I'm going to put this straight. I think Selena is probably the best example of it. She's not wed to Bruce, no pun intended, but Barbara's tension with Gordon is also like combined with her tension with all the mobsters. Lee and Jim, like this, she doesn't really get away from him until I guess right now, and everyone else is kind of fleeting.
Yep. But yeah, Tabitha, a powerful number 2. You're not really powerful if you're under someone's boot, which she is in like everything except for this season. And even now, she's now working for Babs again.
She's just not around in this show anymore, is she?
It looks like in the preview for next week she's like finally coming back, but like we have not seen her since the second episode of the season, and this was the 6th?
6th. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like
What is it? Like, Ivy was a nuisance, and a joke.
Yeah.
Lee's primary job is a love interest and a love triangle maker.
No, but I feel like in seasons 1 and 2, Lee was, even though she was the love interest, she was at least like a very.
She was a good, well-written love interest.
Yeah, she was well written. Like, she wasn't doing the tropes. Like in that episode where Barbara kidnaps them, she was like, Jim, I'm not jealous. I'm not like mad that you're like working with Barbara. I just think I'm worried about you because she's dangerous. Like, she wasn't like, Jim's interrogating Barbara. Does he still love her?
Well, I think I know what you're trying. Well, I understand you're trying to kind of defend it because it's not when you say a character is only a love interest. It's a very kind of like kind of a takedown thing to talk about a character. But I do think because Leslie Tompkins is not Jim Gordon's love interest in the comic, she is her own character, and she is not her own character in this show. She's very much an appendage to Jim Gordon's development.
Yep.
Okay, Selena Kyle's boyfriend that's going on his trip without her.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, because like think about it, like her only appearance was in his dream sequence in the first episode. Like, we're saying that it took her 4 seasons to like do the thing that she's known for in the comics, and I'm not saying that like you can only do the only stuff in the comics on this show, but like, I was annoyed when she was first made to be his love interest, and I never really got over that because I think that's you can. She has a really great rapport with both Bruce and Alfred. It's every now and then she's shown as Alfred's love interest, not often, but like sometimes. But generally, like she's a person that bounces off with Bruce, and it's a very nuanced relationship that you don't see in comics often. It's an older parent and kind of a grown ass man, so you can kind of do some new things with him growing up. But she's literally just the hot woman who's going on with Gordon. Like that is Jen, who is right here, is right. Like she that is her primary takeaway when you think about her in the show. I think
she might be written well, but her point in the show was to be his love interest, even if she was like a strong one. She was supposed to just be his love interest until now, and she's still portrayed as his love interest because she's like his one true love in the show. If you watch it, even if he's sleeping with Falcone's daughter, he's not.
Jim.
Well, I mean, also, I think this goes, and without getting too much into it, I think this goes back to why, like, Marina Baccarin, like, in past Comic-Con, she was not asked a lot of questions because there's not really much to say to her character. Like, what does she really do in Season 2, besides disappear for half the season because she was pregnant? Like, what does she really do when she and Gordon started dating? Like, what did her character do? You know, even if she has a job, like, you know, how much did her job influence the plot? Like, I mean, Marina Baccarin's a good actress, and I think that, like, she makes this character much more than is on the page, I think. Well, maybe not much more, but, like, while she's not a bad character in the show, the character's function, it's like a glass ceiling, ironically. It only is so interesting to talk about. Until now, I guess.
I have a question for both of you. Just in terms of all this Lee Tompkins talk, how would you have felt, or let me rephrase this question. Was the Mario detour last season necessary? Or, like, if that was, like, removed from the show's history and replaced with, like, a different plot line, like, you know, maybe a different character, like, you know, like, maybe, you know, Valerie Vale was Gordon's girlfriend that whole season and she wound up married, like, and Mario wound up getting involved with her and Gordon shot, and the plot line went on that way. And Valerie Vale was the one that released the virus, and Lee was just kind of either off screen or she was Gordon's amicable ex that was at the, you know, clinic or something. Basically, do you feel like we needed that from Lee last season, or was it unnecessary? Do you feel we're in a better place now because of it?
The Mario subplot?
Yeah, the whole Mario and Lee taking the virus as a result. Like, Lee had a crazy season last year. Or, like, or what if this was her coming back now? Like, what if we just didn't see her at all last season? Because she went off in the middle of season 2 after having lost the baby. And, like, the first time we see her is, like, here in the Narrows. What if that was it?
Well, think about it this way. We say the Mario subplot because we make fun of it, but really it was Jim's angst because Mario was only as good to the plot as it was to give Jim man pain because he was the one who was with his woman. I don't think the Mario thing was necessary. I don't think it was useless because it was entertaining. But, like, if you're being honest with it, I do think that, like, nothing about that. You know, it was Mad Hatter, right? It was about Barnes and Mad Hatter. Those are a lot more important to the show. Whereas Mario and Lee were kind of like, you know, they were only important to Jim. And you know, when Lee loses her husband, you know, the most important thing in the next episode is for her to let Jim off the hook rather than Jim apologize to her for killing her husband. Like, I mean, he does, but, like, the focus, and I understand, like, you know, Jim's the main character, but, like, this show, and I've said it before, I think Fox as a network, you know, is very much in line with Fox as a news network, and that, like, certain portrayal of certain characters and certain groups of people are very much aligned to a specific type of thinking. I don't think they care about, you know, Lee the character. You know, I mean, the writers and directors might care about Marina Baccarin the actress, but, like, the character of Lee, she's a very two-dimensional character, I think. What do you think, Jan?
She is one of the better written characters on the show, but a lot of her plot is there to just drive Jim, because that's how I felt. Every female on this show that he interacts with is just there to kind of drive him, except for, like, Fish Mooney, Selena, or
Harper right now.
Or, like, not even Sophia, really. I mean, because Sophia's been more I've actually really enjoyed the Sophia and Penguin plot because it just really pains me to see her anywhere near Jim. Because I feel like she's doing the thing that Valerie Vale did, where it's kind of like, yeah, you're here, you're cute, look how cute you are, we can sleep together, sure, yeah, I'm busy. I have a job.
I'm busy trying to take over Gotham, leave me alone.
Exactly.
Well, I'll get out of your way then. Wait a minute.
You promised
He's like,
you
no,
wouldn't
but
try to
you're
take
a
over
woman.
Gotham.
You're a woman, and I have to send you off on some form of transportation.
Well, that's another thing, too.
On one of those Oregon Trail wagons, like, goodbye, have a good time in Florida.
You mean a covered wagon?
Well, that's an interesting.
Pulled by oxes.
That's an interesting thing. Jan, do you think that, like, in this show, do you think Gordon is intentionally written to be sexist as a character, or is that, like, an accident of the writing?
Both. he comes off as incredibly sexist. Like, remember when Lee was all like, Lee called him out on that when they were first started dating on that episode with the Flying Graysons. She's like, you act like you want this, but then you treat me like you want this. Remember?
Oh, yeah. It's like,
And in Gordon's, like, truest of true fantasies, like, in that fantasy world, he has, like, a 1950s wife with, like, an apron. So,
yes, and two kids.
She's not like a lawyer coming home with a briefcase from work, like, oh, Jim, it was a hard day at the office. Like, you know, like, it's, oh, honey, I have your pipe and your paper.
And Barbara was very much, like, just only in her room drinking, you know, wine and, like, talking about her art galleries. Like, she was very much, you know, on screen only and not really, like a partner he could...
I was thinking about this earlier today. I would love to see, like, what Jim and Barbara's life was like before the pilots. Just, like, them as, like, normal people before all this stuff happened. Like, what would they do? What would they talk about? It's like...
Well, this is interesting because, like, I think last year, Stella on her show talked about, like, the potential for Batman, you know, over Batman's history, if he was sexist or not. And in this show, I think, generally speaking, Commissioner Gordon, because he is an older character, tends to be more traditionalist, but he's never really, like, kind of hateful or vindictive about it. So, like, I think that, like, it would make sense for Gordon to have some sort of, like, innate masculine, toxic, patriarchal trope in him. But I think at the same time, while that might be, you know, an element of his character, I think it's just Fox that kind of writes him so, you know, the way he is. Like, you know, like I'll put you on the first train. Like, you know, I mean, how old is Sophia supposed to be? Because, like, she should be a grown-ass person. Like,
she's at least in her mid-20s.
Hopefully.
I would hope.
I think the character is in her late 20s, so... Or the actress.
Yeah, I think the actress is like 29 or 30, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, if she's able to, like,
young.
buy an orphanage, she has to, like, at least be in her 20s, because, like, they don't let, like, 16-year-olds, you know, like, do, like, get building permits.
16-year-old Bruce did, you know, participate in an auction, but no, I take your point.
Yeah, but that's different than, like, using building permits and, like, stuff like that, and traveling, like, across the state. Like, she doesn't have, like, a nanny following her or something, so...
Yeah. She doesn't have any manservants either. She's just wandering around alone.
Jan,
she did a Ferris Bueller thing in her room, so Falcone doesn't know that she's gone. Like, she goes into her room,
yeah, but she doesn't even have, like,
there's, like, pillows under the blanket, and, like, an audio recording of her sleeping. Sophia, I'm going to feed the chickens. I'll be back in an hour.
Jan, who do you think is the best written character, a female character in the show?
Selena.
Yeah, I would agree.
Selena, yeah.
I mean, even if she does things that aren't, like, amazing, I can at least chalk it up to her being a child, and then the way she grew up, too. Because you guys were like, but why does she need a seat at the table? And it's like, because she grew up in a world of crime, and it's like all she knows. She's been on the street. She was with Fish. She was with, she worked with Penguin. She worked with Babs and Tabitha. You know, she knows how that world works, and it jives with what she grew up with, like everyone for themselves sort of thing. And she knows, like, she's not gonna go to, like, school and then get, like, a 9-to-5 job. That's not how she works. It's not how she functions. It's not how she knows how to survive. So everything that she does makes sense to me. And then she's like, no one's taking me seriously. And it's like, of course they're not. You're still a child. I mean, she might be 18 in real life now, or even in the show. But, you know, when she started, it was like 4 years ago, and she was like tiny. When everyone met her, she was still a baby. No one's going to treat her seriously.
I'm thinking about it now. I think that, like, in Gotham's defense, Catwoman is such a strong character that, like, you know, they couldn't really... Even if they wanted to, they couldn't write her as anything but more individual. Whereas, you know, in fairness, what?
Let's take a look at Ivy.
What I was going to say is that you're right about Ivy, because Ivy's a great character, and this show hates her. But, like, in fairness, like Leslie Tompkins, you know, certainly Barbara Keene, and Tabitha doesn't exist. Like they are. There's less to work from that I think informs their characters compared to Selena. That being said, that's kind of no excuse for, like, you know, poor storytelling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're ready to talk about Professor Pig and Bullock and Gordon.
Totally.
Yay!
Yeah. People, what would you all think of Professor Pig?
I thought he was fun.
Yeah, I thought the actor, honestly, the actor's voice, honestly, sounded a lot like what I thought of in my head when I was reading the Morrison run of Batman and Robin. Like, he did have that kind of like, sort of like faux eloquent style talking. I wasn't really, I've not read the Professor Pig stories a lot where I'm thoroughly familiar with him, so I honestly wanted to go back and read those comics, but I got distracted with something else.
Like song. What? A song parody?
But like, I wasn't really looking forward to this part because it's going to be Gotham, but it's going to be a lot more violent now. But I actually found the Pig plot to be intriguing, and his whole scene with him and Ben McKenzie, where he's like, I've had profound loss. I was like, this is actually a pretty interesting. I'm wondering where this is going, so I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've actually, I don't know, I haven't read comics in so long. Oh my god. I think it was a New 52 plot, or yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a New 52 plot. That's where I got my introduction to Professor Pig, because I did not read a Morrison run of anything.
Was he in Batman or Detective? I don't remember.
One or the other. Like I said, it's been a while. It was like 2011 to now. So 2011 to 2016, wasn't it?
Yeah, like when after Batman R.I.P., when Batman was presumably dead and Dick was Batman, Damien and Robin, the first villain they fought was Professor Pig's first appearance. Like, he's a villain from that run, and that's what I remember the most. And I have the trade right over there, but I'm far too lazy to pick it up.
But yeah, no, I really did like that they used it with the cops, because, you know, cops, pigs. And I was like, oh, look at this. This is interesting. When they said he was going to be in the show, I didn't know that's where they were going to go with it. And I was like, wow, Fox is going for it. And just to be clear, I do respect cops. I just thought it was, like, interesting to see.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because I do not refer to them as pigs. And then, like, I did like all of the, what's it called? They did do the, nursery rhyme stuff too, right? Like pig puns and all sorts of fun things.
Oh yeah, there was like this whole like thing that he did at the end, like, and the piglets played and something.
And then he killed the piglets.
And then he what?
Oh, and then he like poisoned them, which I thought, you know, was fine, but I was like, aw.
I did like that he did cut his throat, like, but just enough. I don't know why he didn't actually kill him, because he was a corrupt cop.
Because of some reasons.
Oh, they said like, he cut it deep enough so that Gordon like would have to stay and save Bullock, and Pig would be able to get away.
Oh, that's true. But he could have still cut it a little bit deeper so that he would have died anyway. Like, it would have looked like enough for Gordon to save him, but you know what I mean?
He tried, but there was something blocking the rest of the throat called a series regular contract.
Just there inside the throat.
It's like for some reason when like that knife that Bruce had, that's why that knife was special. It goes through like series regular contracts.
Maybe he did it out of respect because he seemed to like Gordon. Like honestly, he did. So maybe he did it. He just did it to slow him down.
He was a huge fan. He was a huge fan.
I have all of your homeless cop posters hanging up in my room.
And maybe it's because
posters.
We're so deep into this show, like we just see Gordon as a corrupt cop naturally. But like, you know, Pig never once considered Gordon to be one of those cops, and I found that to be confusing. Honestly, I was like, but Gordon.
I think it's because every time Gordon is like in the media or doing something huge, it's in the benefit of the city.
He's like that politician that, like, you know, I'm not naming anyone specific here. Like, this is like, I'm not thinking, oh, this is Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders or something. This is just like every single election cycle, there's that politician that says, I'm like the anti-establishment, you know, like person who's like going to go against the big rules and stuff like that. And like, you know, and I'm for the people. Like, that's what Gordon is. Every time he's on TV, he's like, I am the cop that, you know, like looks out for you and doesn't play by, you know, the corrupt rules. I'm not owned by Wall Street or the commissioner.
That's true.
And we are kind of, in fair, getting back to that Gordon after like a few seasons of him being corrupt, like, you know, and like,
God, yeah. Since like halfway through season 2,
which is
halfway through season 1. My bad.
Yeah, well, even in season 1, he had some sort of like remorse over that stuff. I feel like season 2, when he killed, like, because even when he killed that mob boss at the beginning of season 2, like, he was regretful. But like, once
Also,
he
that was
killed
kind of an accident too. It was like he like executed him.
Well, like once he killed Galavan, that was kind of like one of the line crossing moments. And then after he killed Galavan, instead of being a cop, after he cleared himself of that murder, instead of going back to the force, he became like a bounty hunter and stuff. And he's just kind of become more and more like roguish ever since that. Like the Galavan thing was kind of like the beginning of that spiral. I feel like we're kind of getting a return to like that season 1 Gordon Bullock dynamic, where instead of like Bullock being the one saying, Gordon, you know, you have to follow the rules, it's like Gordon saying, Bullock, you have to follow the rules. We're back to like the whole pilot thing, and that's kind of what happened at the end too, where the last really big character development I remember for Bullock, and like, yeah, he quits in season 2 and then comes back an episode later. I never really felt anything from that, but like the last major character development from him was, I think the episode was called Spirit of the Goat or something, where like you find out that
good.
Where you find out that like Bullock like visits his old partner in like a hospital every week or like something like that, or it was one of those where like
You found out that Bullock was Gordon.
Yeah, like I remember that, and that was like the last. That and Penguin's Umbrella were the last really big character development moments from him. So I like this, where instead of Bullock being like, Jim, you know, I had no choice, I had to take Penguin's money. You don't know what it's like in the city. He's really like vulnerable. He's like, you don't know what it's like. It just started happening, and like, you know, I have debts, I have bills. Like he's humiliated, and he's like eating his shame, and I'm like, that is such a good performance from Donald Logue. I honestly, I had a bigger reaction from that scene than I did from any Professor Pig stuff. Like, I was like, okay, Professor Pig, you know, he's a villain, cool. This is kind of creepy and weird. This is Gotham, but that Bullock stuff, I was like, oh, this is good. This is like, and I really hope that like it's not business as usual next week. Like, I hope that there's consequences from this, and I think that there will be, because I've looked ahead at some of the like solicitations, and there is some Bullock and Gordon stuff happening down the line that I think is resulting from this.
Well, I mean, I thought that I agree that like Donald's a great actor. I've said before, but I've been familiar with him from various stuff before this. And it was a great performance. It was weird to me that that the source of such drama was, Harvey, you're taking money from Penguin, aren't you? When like that was like his default mode in the beginning of the series, and because the real thing is because Bullock has been so opposite of Gordon throughout this season, it didn't really play to me as a big surprise or reveal. It was like, of course he is, probably. And so, like, I thought that was kind of like that didn't really connect as much as I think they were wanting it to. Because Donald Logue, you know, sold it as best he could.
Yeah. Didn't he? Yeah. Because Penguin did mention that he was going to be filling their pockets with monies. He did mention that like a couple episodes ago. And then, yeah.
Sorry.
Jim being like, how did you know that he was the guy who was giving out the money, and you knew that this guy knew the money? And it's like, because he was taking money from him, obviously. But I do
because
agree
we stuffed a guy in a trunk.
But I do agree that that whole thing where he was all like talking about being in debt was like a really good scene. He's like, yeah, I do need this money, which is why I took it. I mean, he was going to be doing it anyway. Like, he was he told him I was going to do this anyway, so I just took the money for it. He was, even if he didn't get paid, he was going to follow that. He didn't do it because he was getting paid.
But he accepted the money, which, like, in homeless cops, like, morality thing is, like, it makes him part of the problem.
Yeah, he was going to be corrupt either way.
Yeah.
Well, I think also that Gordon has been so wrapped up in the main plot that he has no time for anybody else's problems. So it's one of those things where if Gordon was actually a friend to Bullock, he would have said, "You could have come to me, I could have helped you." But no, he's you didn't live up to my standards. Of course, Bullock's in the wrong. He shouldn't have been taking money. But Gordon's been so obstinate and not willing to because Bullock isn't illogical. He's not insane or evil. He says that Penguin runs the commissioner. He owns the city. I can't actually really do anything effectively against him. I have to keep the cops in line, otherwise you're going to drive them away. Gordon's bullishness isn't really the best way to play it. So to kind of play this as Bullock has what he ever stood for, it's a real cognitive dissonance between what we've been seeing and what they're writing in. I want to repeat that Donald Logue's performance was great, but I thought it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
What made sense about it to me was that in Homeless Cop's eyes, Bullock changed because he had the character development. In Penguin's umbrella, he's okay, I won't be crooked anymore. I'll help you take down Falcone. And ever since then, it's been Bullock saying, "Homeless cop, you can't, speed in the school zone, or you can't do he's been telling him you got to follow the rules, and then Bullock became the captain, and he's kind of been more and more legitimized. He thought that Bullock had been tamed, that Bullock was done with that corruptness stuff. Now, granted, it wasn't a big surprise to find out that he was taking money from the license thing, because Bullock has been we have to do this license thing, Jim, from the beginning of the season, but I can buy Gordon being surprised about it just because this isn't the Bullock, even though this is the Bullock from season 1, we've had seasons between of Bullock being the Chucky Finster of the police force.
Right, yeah. The naysayer, essentially.
Yeah. But, like you were saying, he does have to keep all the cops in line, and I feel like Bullock makes more sense with what he's doing than with what Jim is doing, and I understand Jim is supposed to be the guy who rails against everything. Wow, I had a train of thought and it's gone.
Chew.
Sofia wasn't on it though.
It took me a second. All aboard, all Gordon X's aboard, they're all in their own private car.
I do really, I don't know. I don't have anything to add other than what I said earlier about how him just taking the money, it's not but I do agree that if he was more attentive instead of being I'm a homeless cop and my life is the only life worth lifing, he would have noticed his friend. And he's his best friend, isn't he? His.
One would
and
think.
they keep playing it like they're the best of friends, but then he's always totally clueless as to what's up with Harvey. But Harvey's just shit. Gordon's gonna do some shit.
Well, I mean, Gordon in the show
more than Harvey.
I mean, Gordon's just not. He's just not a good. He's not a good guy, really. I mean, he does the right thing, but he's not a guy you would really want to hang out with. And I think that their relationship is based on what we see in the show. Harvey calls him brother, all this kind of stuff. And of course, Gordon generally sees him as a friend. It's not a one-sided relationship. But there's very little There's zero downtime in any of these characters' lives. We never actually see Gordon do anything normal. so there's not a lot of reasons to say why couldn't you tell me?
He and Bullock go ice skating for fun or something
They're holding hands.
It was sure a good idea to go to Rockefeller Center for some ice skating.
Yeah. I think that this show could benefit from some downtime. I know it's always from one storyline to another storyline, but there are enough characters where you could show Gordon have a day off, and I think the only time he ever had a day off was when he was with Ryden from last season when they were hunting deer. And he's like, I will never kill a deer. That's a line I will never cross. Oh, look, Mario.
That dude's name is Mario. Let me at him. That deer had the Alice-Tech virus. I had no choice.
Neither of which are things at that point when he was hunting, but yeah.
Were they?
No,
Virus.
no, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
What season was it?
oh, you're right. Because like, when he was hunting, that was like them coming back from a long break. I forgot all that.
Well, because that was like, because Lee and him were already broken up at that point, and like the Mara thing had happened because he's like, Jim, I have some bad news for you. Your uncle's dead. Oh, wow. This is new information for me. You say he got shot in the head. I never said he got Jim. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
What was that laugh? Like, we started to laugh like 3 times.
It just hit me. Uh-oh. Like, he said that out loud.
Well, that's pretty much how it went. She's like, God damn it, homeless cop, you had something to do with this, didn't you? Well, define have to do with this. Was I there when he died? Yes. Was I holding the gun that killed him? I mean, wait, hold on, let me start over. Oh, shoot.
Shoot is what he did.
Yeah.
But undone.
Oh my god.
I'm about talked out with
Do we have
this.
any more thoughts about this episode?
I just really wish I liked Jim more. He's not likable.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's because Ben McKenzie's a good actor. I don't dislike him as an actor.
Yes, I agree. He's a really good actor. Everyone on the show is a good actor.
Yeah.
I feel like. Half the reason I enjoy watching the show is because I love watching them act. Even when the roles are, like, even if the writing is, like, weird or something awkward happens, it doesn't make sense, they give it their 150%. And it's usually well acted, unless it's, like, so awkward, no matter how well they act, it's still awkward.
It's also, like, a thing because, like, the show's tone carries so much of, like, what you get out of the series. And, like, they have to kind of bend it towards that. Like, I feel that, like, Corey Michael Smith, for instance, is kind of, like, better than, like, a lot of the campy stuff of this show, but he commits to it. It's like, you know, it's like, you know, Patrick Stewart doing goofy things on weird episodes of Next Generation. Like, you know, he's a professional. He'll do what needs to be done. But like, some of these actors, like, I feel like Robert Lord Taylor really cut his teeth on the show, and he's at home here. But some of these actors, like I would say, like Michael Chiklis, Sean Pertwee, Alexander Siddiq, they're owed better script. Especially their characters, but they're really owed better scripts than the show gives them. But they commit to it. They go all out, and they do their best to kind of make it watchable. And I'm never mad at them. I mean, I like choices they make, but like it's always more the writers are always on my bullseye.
Yeah, I guess. Mostly. Because they're like some plot lines. Man, those plot lines.
So that was Hog Day Afternoon. Next week's episode is called A Day in the Narrows. And good news for all of you who like Professor Pig, he'll be back. So with Professor Pig striking fear throughout Gotham, Gordon and Bullock head into the Narrows to look for clues. We are looking for pig clues. Bruce Wayne meets a former friend, Grace. I don't remember her from season 1 or 2, but okay. I hope it's not Harvey Dent's Grace, who convinces him to come along for a night out with some old classmates. Meanwhile, Sophia's relationships with Penguin and Gordon continue to evolve. Oh, no. In an all-new A Dark Night, A Day in the Narrows. And the guest cast is, we have Professor Pig, Cherry, which is that girl that owns that, like, fight club, Brant Jones, which I'm assuming is a classmate, someone named Headhunter, Grace, Tommy Elliott, so he's back, and it's a new actor, by the way. I looked it up. It's not the same kid. And Martin and the classic character from the comics known only as Beat Cop. And have we all seen the promo
Beat
yet?
Cop.
I know. I loved his limited series in the 90s that was drawn by Todd McFarlane.
I've not seen the promo yet, so let me
Yeah, let's all watch the promo. Day.
Yeah, link it in.
It wasn't on the screen.
The YouTube link for like the promo, it has like the you know how like they have like preview images, like The preview image is like Gordon, and like his face, he looks like Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars before he electrocutes someone.
He looks like Duke Nukem.
It looks like but right before he electrocutes Mace Windu, where he's like, no.
And he's holding a cable gun from X-Force.
Yeah, like.
Holy shit.
Homeless cop, what are you up to next week?
Link?
So do you want to maybe...
Oh, yeah, sure, hold on.
Said this like 5 times in the same tone. Link, 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 Link.
Link.
I just thought you were a really big Legend of Zelda fan.
I was Legend of Zelda, of course.
Yeah, I've never played that game. None of them.
Actually, neither have I.
I'm watching this pausing a lot just so I can like take some of these images. Oh, okay. Action is his reward.
I know what you're capable of.
Oh, right, Barbara. Oh, wow. Awesome.
I know what you're capable of, and I don't want to see you.
I'm trying to see if I can see a date on the newspaper.
Pig's actions capable of, and
I know I didn't see what that
anybody else.
Okay.
Pig's actions threaten the both of us.
Okay, I'm good.
Penguin's guys are gonna be.
Yeah, I'm almost done. I'm pausing it a lot so I can like see like the shots.
I'm ordering you to stand down! You are gonna get our guys!
It's just like 3 storylines.
Oh. The way that they shoot the... Whoa, holy heck, homeless cop.
The most homeless he's ever been.
Now, more than ever.
Okay, so usually we don't have a lot to say about the trailer. I'm guessing it'll be a little different this time.
I'm really excited. Bruce is getting some lady times.
Yeah. I guess he's I guess he says grace every day before dinner.
I'm sure Davi Mazouz have been complaining for a long time for come on, Bruce is a playboy. Why can't I be a playboy? Alright, fine.
Yeah. Bruce has had like 2 girlfriends the entire series.
Yeah, one of them is super independent, and the other one
was under orders.
Tried to get him killed. Yeah.
I wonder if Tabitha still takes care of Silver because they are related. Now that I think about it, that's kind of a shower thought. She just said she's probably in a boarding school somewhere. But yeah, so Bruce kissing Grace. And then homeless cop and Bullock are in a drag out argument and grabbing each other.
Yep.
That was a good scene. I know it's a television show, and reality doesn't exist. But Bullock had his throat slit, and he's already out in the force again. No leave of absence, no vacation, no early retirement. He's he's fine. That never happened. But it looks good. Honestly, again, we were just talking about the acting looks great, and I'm looking forward to seeing that happen. They kind of framed it as though Bruce was hitting Alfred, and I paused to make sure that he wasn't, and he's not. Which was odd, but whatever. Yeah,
Alfred's I'm just worried about you. Then Bruce hits and they frame it like Gordon shoots Bullock too, because they're grabbing each other, and the next shot is Gordon shooting someone.
Yeah.
And
you're gonna get us all slaughtered. Shoot, guns everyone down.
And Catwoman has her mask again that she had when she was hanging out with the Black Shadow at the docks.
I didn't even see her in that thing.
Yeah, you see Tabitha, Barbara, and Selena. So Tabitha finally back after a 5 or 6 episode absence, I guess.
Right. I'll start on Monday, and by Monday I mean next month.
6 Mondays from now. She's that
Next
slacker intern. Yeah. She's been locked in the closet this whole time. She's help. I just know Barbara and Selena will come for me 5 weeks later.
Aww.
Yeah, Selena's hair is a little crazy too in that promo.
Well, bad girls have big hair.
Are you talking about Selena or Barbara? I saw Barbara. I didn't see Selena.
No, I'm looking at Selena. It's the 3 of them walking together, and Barbara's holding a big wad of cash.
It's Selena, then Babs is in the middle, and then Tabitha's on the other side.
Yeah.
I think Tabitha's the only bad girl. Well, Tabitha and Lee were the only bad girls with flat hair.
The hair. You and Stella both pay attention to hair.
Me and Don were watching Fright Night the other night.
Which one? There were 4 of them.
No, we watched Fright Night, and I was trying to tell. Oh, wait, you weren't there the other night. I made you watch it months ago. But during the movie, there's this girl who was like super, super sweet, and she's like the girl next door type. And then the vampire like starts moving in on her and starts seducing her. And the more he seduces her, the bigger her hair gets.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And I was just like, she is now sexually awakened because, and I always say this: dirty girls have big hair. Because, like, if you look at, like, the first season of Gotham, you have, except for, like, Fish Mooney, because her wig was terrible. If you look at when Babs, in the second season, when Babs goes evil, her hair gets teased up to high heaven. When you look at, with the exception of, like, Tabitha, but what was her name? Oh, yeah. Zaz's Fly Girls had their hair, like, not just teased, but, like, spiked straight up. Look at Cherry. Cherry's hair is straight up. Bad girls have big hair. It's a trope that this show was, like, embracing.
Well, this show is so conservative; it doesn't like anything alternative. And sees it as role. Maybe?
Yeah, because it's basically like every girl when they go bad.
Stuff, and Lee still had short hair.
Yeah, but every time they go bad, it's basically like Sandy coming back to get Danny at the end of Grease. Remember, her hair was flat, and then she came back, and she was like,
"Tell me about it."
Yeah, exactly.
Stud.
And her hair was fucking huge.
So until next time, this is Josh.
This is Don.
This is Jan.
And you've been listening to the Gotham Chronicle podcast.
If you believe you must be big in order to be tough, then you should get to know me. I'll teach you other stuff. If you believe you must be big in order to be tough, then you should get to know her. She'll teach you other stuff. I'm Madeline, and though I'm very small, I'm Madeline, and inside I'm tall. She may be teeny tiny, diminutive petite, but that has never stopped her from being pretty neat. I'm Madeline, I'm not some little twig. I'm Madeline, and inside I'm big. Dumpty Dum. I'm Madeline, I'm not afraid at all. I'm Madeline, I'm bravest of all. Dumpty Dum. She's Madeline, we hope you have it straight. She's Madeline, and inside she's Dumpty Dum. Great!
Okay, now I can hear you.
All right. All right, you guys. So, how long do you think?
Happy Halloween!
How long do you think it's been since, like we were talking when I was watching the episode?
A couple hours.
Yeah, not about that much.
Okay, I did a thing.
Oh God.
Oh, you made the car in San Diego thing, didn't you?
I was like, I need 30 more minutes to get it right. It's not perfect.
Oh
right?
my God. Is that what you were doing this entire time?
Yes.
I approve.
I'm sitting here like watching Warlock and going like, yay, Jonathan Crane's dad is being like evil.
Well, like, when you were like, oh man, we won't have time to do this before the episode, I was thinking, oh, we could probably, like, carve out some time before we send this to Dustin. I was like, that won't be too hard. I didn't think that, like, you'd have it before, like...
I had the creative juices flowing.
Yeah. All right, so
feel free to check it out.
My favorite part is that this time it's Dawn instead of you.
Yeah,
I know, like, in the middle of, like, I'm, like, stuck at these, like, overnight shifts at work, and I'm just like, hey, I have an idea. Let me make, like, a Garfield and Friends, like, Winnie the Pooh, like, Gordon parody.
This one it kind of just came to me.
So do that thing where you play it through the speakers.
I have I done that before?
We are gonna hear it, right? Like,
well, yeah, I sent it for you guys to download, but I didn't think about.
Oh, you did. Okay, all right.
Yeah, do you see it on
on
the page?
I'm on the phone, but I could open up the computer since I'm at the house.
Okay. You see it, right, Jan?
In the Skype?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm muting myself because I have steak. My mom just brought some steak home, and I'm like, yes.
The stakes have never been higher, one might say.
Oh my god.
By the way, there was a Halloween party like 2 doors down from me. Guess what song they're playing?
Carmen San
Where in the
Diego.
world is Carmen San Diego?
No, that would be incredibly rare.
Well, that's what we were like talking about Carmen San Diego.
I would kill myself.
No,
for
but
that.
it's like my life is being written by TV writers because like whenever there's a movie or a TV show and someone's having a Halloween party, like what song is like always playing?
Was it
No
Monster,
matter like
Monster
if
Mash?
Monster Mash?
yeah, and I'm like, no matter what time of the day it is at the party, like whenever like the like show or movie cuts to the party, they're always playing Monster Mash. And
It
it's
is
like,
a Monster Mash.
what were the odds that as I was pulling into my house, like the party would be at the point that they were playing Monster Mash? Unless like they were just waiting for me to like pull in there so that they can like do that. Like, okay, here he comes.
Should be a dubstep.
No, play this song.
He did
Well, it's either that or Thriller. But Monster
Or, like-
Mash, I think it's...
The party's being DJ'd by that Simpsons radio host from. There's an episode of Simpsons Jam where like no matter what holiday it is, like,
Yeah.
the DJ plays like Monster Mash. It's like Valentine's Day, and it's like, why'd you play Monster Mash? It's Valentine's Day. It's well, you know, like the monsters, they're all getting together. They love each other. And you played the wrong tape, didn't you, Bernie?
Why are you doing this to me? That's my favorite part.
And then,
Okay, I
like,
need
at
to
the
listen to
end,
the
they're like,
song,
Happy President's Day, everyone. I was working in the lab late last night.
Whenever you guys are ready, feel free to.
Oh, I want to listen to this. Okay, so I just downloaded it, so, I'll go ahead and... Is Jan gonna try and listen to it too, or like...
Yeah, I'm listening to it, trying to listen to it, but you keep talking.
Go for it.
Oh, okay. Alright. So, I'm gonna listen. Or, actually, I'll mute so that, like, mine doesn't overlap with hers. Give me a second.
Yeah, I lost my damn mind.
Yeah, you did. I don't know what I just listened to.
I don't know what I even did.
Just have to wait for Josh now.
I think he killed him. I heard like a crash of tables and glass and such.
Oh my... Okay. Finish listening. That was impressive. I think that's like the most like thoroughly produced like thing that we ever did, because you did your...
Did you layer your own voice a couple of times?
Well, I had to because it was an acapella to get the effect right. I recorded in like one like chord, then like a tempo, then like a low tempo, and double the back.
I'm done.
Yeah, there's like multi-tracks here, like...
I know, that's what I was sitting there like, wait a minute.
Work was put into this, and I like the lyrics too. It like tells like the story of Sofia Falcone. Like, all I do with the parodies is just like change like the name Winnie the Pooh to Gordon, or change like Starfleet Enterprise to like GCPD.
No. You were letting yourself down. I remember the Mulan song.
This is a rival to the Mulan song
and
in
then
a
that
big
started.
way.
So what, Jen?
I said I was laying down. I was like, I'll just finish this episode of Gotham City Chronicles, and I'll just go to sleep. Then the next one rolls on, and I just hear like the
No, that Caliban is alive, Peabody. Like,
yeah, and I was just sitting there like in bed, like, wait, what? Like I couldn't go to sleep because I was like wide awake after that.
I was going to like just like rip off like the music, but like it was an acapella, so I couldn't. Like there was no like actual, there wasn't a lot of instrumentations. I like blast. There's only one thing to do.
I must completely start from. That was well done. That might be
That was
like
impressive.
Thank you very
like
much.
that's like the three best like parodies in my mind are Mulan, the Scooby Doo, and like this one. Like and I definitely think this one's better than the Scooby Doo one.
I just couldn't like get it out of my head. Like when we were talking, I brought it up like in our chats. I couldn't get out. That's actually a really fun idea. Let me see if I can come up with some lyrics.
Well, I love how like we all like independently had the idea. You're like, she looks like Carmen San Diego, and I was like, ooh, we should do a song parody. And then like you all
hat
like
and hair.
typed
It was the hat and the hair. Because I was like, man, she like they like panned over to her. She looks up. I'm like, is that Carmen San? Oh wait, no.
Surprise! This is a Carmen Sandiego prequel and a Madeline prequel, I guess, too. Like every single like property from like our childhood, like in the '90s, like you know.
I'll copy over the lyrics.
Dude, I also love how like even the file, even like the file format, you put like album like instead of acapella, it was like gothapella and like album Who the Heck Knows and like artist Too Much Time on Hand.
Oh, I didn't know that was visible. I thought that was only visible like on a podcast.
Yeah, all right. Let's see. Okay, well, she sneaks around the world to Gotham City because like I couldn't make out some of the words, but
sure.
She'll take Oswald for a ride on a slow boat to betrayal. Same soup recipe, make Oswald cry for his mama. When he tastes the same raisin, he'll be singing the blues. Oh, all the time I'll never guess she brought out all an orphanage. Different from Barbara, Fish Mooney, Leslie, and I mean this mob girl isn't. Oh, Bloodhaven. She wrote the missing big mistake when she got down with her brother. I heard brothers kill her, but like,
well, half of these lyrics are from like the actual like song, like the miss and misdemeanors, like the Sandiego.
Oh yeah. I know this. Well done. All right, I'm in a good mood now. Not that I wasn't before, but like this is like.
Thank you very much.
Seen this like Iraq War movie where like one of the three main characters like dies in the first like 10 minutes, and then like, oh well, I guess the moral of that movie is like never do anything ever. And then I go home to like this, and it's like okay.
Well, I'm glad you guys liked it.
Yeah, I was not ready.
Well, you say yourself, it's like this is the kind of show we do now. We just don't pay attention to anything on screen.
I was even thinking, like, this is what happens when you leave me in charge of a podcast. Like, okay, you can do a podcast on Gotham. And, like, the first like season, it's like you, I, and Stella. We're like analyzing the show. We're like, oh, what do you think it meant? Like, what do you think this? Like, what do
the chickens mean? You guys spent 3 episodes on those stupid chickens for Falcone.
Yeah, Falcone feeding.
Oh, I completely fucking forgot about that. Holy crap!
What are the chickens? Oh, you think? Well, okay. Over on Spider-Man Crawlspace, we had like a whole episode about like why is Mary Jane's phone green, and like that was like 3 episodes too. And then like there's another episode where like her whole apartment's green, and Chris is like she's painting her apartment the color of her phone. What does it mean?
We didn't seriously do an episode about her phone, did we? I don't remember that.
It wasn't an episode, but like it was like a major discussion. But yeah, like season 1 of Gotham Chronicle is like, oh man, what do the chickens mean? What's this? Season like 4, it's like it's a musical comedy extravaganza that has nothing to do with the show.
It's a true mark the show has gone on too long.
And so have we.
Yeah, like, just imagine what it'll be in, like, 2 seasons, like, and now special musical guest, like, Conway Twitty or, like, something.
Well, we'll actually be like, it'll be
I thought you were going to say Kanye West. I was like, wow.
Yeah, sure, Kanye West, too, like, we have, like, for some reason, we have, like, Kanye West and, like, Donald Trump and, like,
now we have Hardak and, Kanye West is doing a harder, better, faster, stronger thing for
the Kanye West duplicate is doing dubstep.
All right. Are we ready to hit the ground?
Yeah. I've been recording something now.
Is that my? Okay, that was just some girl. All right.
Wow.
Wait, what do you mean? Wow.
Just some girl.
Yeah, just some girl I've been texting. No biggie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hello.
Hold on a second, guys.
Sure.
Sure.
Say, those are me and my clones.
I gotta be right back.
Okay, sure.
Okay. The fire alarm went off for her, too.
I didn't know that people had like a backlash against But it's good to hear because my complaint.
Oh, wait. Yeah, well, let's wait till Jan gets back, just so.
Sure.
I mean, we can talk, just not about Gotham.
No, yeah, sure. That's cool.
Yeah, I just don't want to give the impression that, like, the show is going on.
So, final thoughts.
I guess we'll give it to Ben. And now a word from us kids. What did you think of?
I didn't use that in there was an episode of Q&A that where Harry and I were like very, very serious before we moved on to the main topic. I didn't use that clip, but I said that I said, and now a word from us kids. I think Harry was like, was that Arthur?
And now back to Arthur. I used that again, like in the last episode where like Ben does his bit. Like it's just introduced by a now word from us kids, and now back to Arthur. I
remember when Arthur first came on. I was in freaking elementary school, and now I'm pushing 30.
Yeah, Arthur is like The Simpsons. It's like running forever, but
it's gonna hit. It's gotta be in season 20 by now, right? Honestly, 1997 sounds about right.
I don't do seasons the same way that like other shows do. Like for all I know, okay, list of Arthur episodes.
Yeah, I'm looking this up too.
There's been 232 Arthur episodes.
20 seasons! Jesus Christ!
A lot of these are like 10 episode seasons, though.
Wikipedia on the right says number of seasons 20.
Yeah, but the first season's 30.
30 episodes? I mean,
but then like seasons like 4 through like 19 are like 10 episodes each, and then season 20 is only 7 episodes.
I mean, the first season of The Simpsons has 13 episodes, and the rest of the seasons have like over 20. So I don't see the point of like pointing that out necessarily. But like, oh my god, 20 seasons.
Well, all right, let me go to season 20 and see like like what they're doing. This CGI movie. Arthur's missing. Oh,
You're kidding me! You're kidding me!
Oh, never mind. It's one of those like.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, we were just talking about Arthur and like trying to figure out how it's lasted like for like 20 seasons.
Because it's so good.
The latest episode, it was called The Hallway Minotaur, and it's
the series finale is going to be those pictures I showed you guys on Twitter with all the
George becomes the Lakewood Elementary hallway monitor. Okay, so that one moose that committed suicide in that one fan fiction, he's hallway monitor in the latest episode. That's like. And then LaDonna, I don't even know who that is, begins a list to see how many people like her. These are short episodes.
Yep.
Mr. Rapperin has a complete change in attitude, much to Buster, Arthur, and the Brain's concern.
Let's get back to the show.
Yeah, no one really cares about Arthur.
What are you talking about, Arthur? But the memes, the fan fiction. I told you not to touch it.
There was a moment, and Jen and I pointed this out when I was watching the episode. I think it was... What was he doing? I think it was when he was tied to the chair that Ben McKenzie was just talking like we did. He was like, "Where's Harvey?" I was like, "Oh man."
We didn't even talk about the fact that like he's like, "I gotta get out of this chair. This is the only way. Homeless, come!"
Yes, I totally forgot. He threw himself over the side of that long drop and didn't like snap his neck, or like he just bounced back like
Professor
nothing.
Pig is like respect.
The guy's behind me like, what the hell are you made out of?
Homeless, gone.
My homeless spine.
He dropped the whole floor straight off the freaking back. And
that chair was no match for homeless cop.
Like his back doesn't all out of whack. He didn't like twist anything. He's like just gonna.
Ow! I didn't think this through. Ow! Harvey, help!
He didn't even like limp up. He just like rolled up and just kept going. I was like, no, bitch.
They sure don't make him like they used to as he like brushes himself up.
They don't make the floor like they used to. They don't make gravity like they used to.
They don't make spines like they used to. I thought this thing had a parachute.
I thought, because there was like that little 1 foot like incline or whatever, I thought he was just going to fall there. No, he kept going.
Yeah, that was the same thing.
Next shot, he's the floor down. And I was all sitting there like, Professor Pig, you should just shoot him.
I'm actually like, honestly,
I think Professor Pig was just like respect, like, you know, like
the last.
I still haven't read Batman Year One, and I haven't.
Oh, you should read that because like it's like it'll probably ruin Gotham for you because it's like Gordon as like an actual like good homeless cop and like
He's
Barbara
not homeless.
and Barbara Keene is just like a pregnant wife who's not evil. And Sarah Essen is like a young hot blonde instead of like a middle-aged African American woman who can't do anything. And
Wow.
But seriously, like I remember like in between seasons rereading Year One and telling Josh, I can't watch this stupid show anymore because Year One is so good and it makes me so upset that like they ignored it. And they did. I don't think there's a single theme from Year One that they've taken except for like Falcone.
Flass.
Flass, Essen technically, Falcone,
Yeah.
like that's that, but and even those are like in name only, basically.
It's funny because I remember like when Gotham was like being announced, I remember someone online said that they were really nervous about the show because they saw that both Essen and Barbara were being included in the cast. They're like, oh no, if it's Essen and Barbara, the show is going to be about Gordon love triangle, and I can't deal with that.
I think I said
it's like actually, Essen is not romantically involved in Gordon. Gordon's just romantically involved with like everyone else.
Don't worry, it'll be Barbara and Leslie Tompkins. But before she goes evil and destroys the city.
Of course she does.
It's so weird to watch, like, because Leslie Tompkins, she's like the Green Power Ranger. Like, she wasn't like a part of like the initial like show. Like, there's like no presence of her in like those first like 8 episodes or something. She just like shows up as like the evil Green Ranger in like episode like 20 or something like that.
Well, it's funny to me because he and Marina McCarran and Ben McKenzie got married, and like so like when if you go to that episode where Gordon meets Leslie for the first time, you can't help but wonder was it Ben McKenzie's like, ooh, she's not that bad. Good, excellent acting, Ben. Work with it. Use that boner of yours. Actually, wait, that's a real boner.
he goes to producers and he's like, so I've been thinking about this. Oh no, he talks in his normal voice and he's like, so I've been thinking about this whole like Gordon thing. What if?
Sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry. When you said normal voice and you started talking like a normal human, it was funnier than when you were using the homeless cop.
A human.
His people clothes.
As opposed to his what?
Ben McKenzie like goes to the producer's office. He's like, okay, so you know how like Barbara and I are engaged? What if I hook up with this Marina McCarran character instead? Well, what will we do with Barbara? I don't know, make her evil or something. Whatever you want. But just I think it would be a good idea. And lots of scenes of us kissing and waking up in bed together. I mean, I am a method actor. Oh, all right.
It's all for the show.
We'll think
Trust
about
me.
it, Ben. Anything else? Yeah, can you give me my own apartment? No, seriously, my character doesn't have a place to sleep. Oh, Ben, you're such a card. Always asking for things like shelter.
Ben McKenzie, age 39.
Which I didn't make that up. Like, I think Jan knows this. That like apparently like the producers like told me that like Ben McKenzie was always asking them why Gordon didn't have an apartment.
Dude, you are not going to believe what he put on his Instagram. Like just go to his Instagram right now and read his most recent.
I just closed my computer.
Okay.
Ben McKenzie Instagram.
The very first image on his Instagram.
If it's Carmen Sandiego, I'm gonna like.
No, but I
I'm gonna
read what he
lose my
says.
mind. Okay, I'm going in. I'm clicking the link.
Read it, Jan.
It is not loading. Okay, there it goes. It's loading.
Okay, I'm logging back on to. All right.
Shitty.
Okay, clicking the picture.
I'm on my way.
Yeah, let's save it. and read it in the Gordon voice.
Oh boy. All right, it's loading.
I can't believe this shit. What kind of life do we lead?
Gotham on Fox tonight. I'm gonna shoot somebody so hard. Guns don't kill people. Oh wait, yes they do? What?
We're still recording. This has to be in the bloopers.
I love the hashtag. Guns don't kill people. Oh wait, yes they do. Like, he changed his thought mid-hashtag. Like...
It is best.
What is his avatar? Is that like a 1950s like boxing ad or something?
I mean, either that's a dad or grandfather, or that's him from the past.
my god, that is
The kids who I babysit, he and his parents were like watching the OC on Netflix or something. Like, so like he was familiar with it. So the first time he came to my house, I have like basically like a bunch of pictures hanging up on my wall, and each wall has like a theme. So like one of the themes is like me with like celebrities at Comic-Con, and he looked at that and he saw like me and Ben McKenzie, and he's like, "You know Ryan?" It's like, that's. And I was like, Ryan? He's like, that's Ryan from the OC. I'm like, no, that's homeless cop.
That's a homeless cop. He looks like Ryan from the OC. Well, he started homeless and now he's homeless again.
I remember in high school.
Wait a minute, we haven't seen guys. We haven't seen him in his actual home this season, have we?
We
haven't. I brought that up with Ben, and like when like I think it got on the cutting room where I'm like. Oh no, that was a private phone call, yeah, because he was like asking me about like stuff this season, and I said homeless cop, and he's like, Gordon has a home now, and I said, not that we know of, we haven't seen it at all this season. Maybe Zaz blew it up, and he's like, well, wait, Zaz blew it up, and I said, I don't know, maybe. Burden of proof is on you. I'm learning things, but it doesn't work for like every song. There was like one song I was thinking of, oh, this will be funny to parry Gotham with, and then I was like, there's no way that would work. The lyrics are way too like broad. Like it was some Disney thing Don and I were talking about recently. I'm trying to remember. It was like Goof Troop or something. I was like, we can't really do Goof Troop about like Gordon.
Oh yeah, we tried. We actually gave it a shot for a little while, then we gave up.
Aww.
Well, no, you're thinking of DuckTales. DuckTales is still on the back burner too.
Oh, I think we tried with Good Trip too. I remember like us starting the song off.
Oh hey, but with you can do some lyrics about like trains because they're like racetracks, aeroplanes. It's a duck blur.
Oh, it was like watch out for Hugo Strange here in Gotham. Race something, and then like it was something else that wasn't straight, like Hugo Strange.
Hugo Strange again.
I don't remember. Like
also,
Penguin has a plan. Falcone's a weagle man. Gotham.
I'm glad we didn't do that.
I like that joke that you made earlier. Like, I just like take a song and I replace like a word with like Gordon, and like Jason Ritter's like, these used to be original. You've changed, Bertoni. You've sold. He like, I promise I'll bring in the President of the United States alive. Gordon, we're going to send the Secret Service after them. You mean this Secret Service? Gordon, that wasn't the Secret Service. That was a bunch of trick-or-treaters. What the fuck, man?
You also had
to give them dressed like Marios. One was Mario, and the other
like Ben McKenzie's house. Little like kids dressed as Mario and Luigi come for trick-or-treating. And like,
oh god damn it!
He answers the door, trick or treat. He's like, he pulls a gun and starts, and like Marina McKenna like tackles him, like, Ben, no, those are trick or treat.
You don't understand what I want you to do now. You gotta take Ben with you once more. Dress him up like Super Mario, and make him take a picture with Ben McKenzie.
That would be so random. Like, why is this little kid in the Gotham press room dressed as a Mario brother? Like,
it'll be like that picture of like Robert Downey Jr. where the kid's like crying, and like Robert Downey Jr. has no idea what to do. It's like, what? What is this?
I mean, they would probably just think, oh, it's Comic-Con, he's cosplaying, but like,
yes.
I'm like,
all right.
Like,
go ahead.
Are you allowed?
It's like, okay, it's Comic-Con, he's cosplaying, and then I'm like, good. Now Ben McKenzie, because like I have to call them by their last names since they both have the same first name. Can you put your hand like by his throat? Okay, it's kind of a weird request, but sure, good. Now, can you say die Mario die? That's oddly specific, but okay, die Mario. Now hold up this fake gun to his head. All right, what the is this all about?
No, that's fine. That's fine. If you can't get him to do that, just give like a really old looking knife to